Okay, welcome Kubernetes and security enthusiasts. This is the KubeSec Enterprise Online. I am Steve Jagera, Solution Architect at Aqua, and I'll be your moderator today. The KubeSec webinar series is, of course, a substitute for the Day Zero event that we were going to be having at KubeCon in Amsterdam this year, but like many events has gone virtual. That doesn't mean it's going to be any less amazing. Today is a great example, and with me today is Oded Hareven, the founder and CEO of Akeyless, a secrets management solution. Oded, how are you doing?
Fine, thank you. Thank you very much for hosting this. And yeah, I'm excited to be here with you.
Very cool. What's the temperature like where you are?
Oh, it's so hot.
Crazy?
Yeah, it's crazy hot. But let's make sure that everyone are cooled, and yeah, we'll all be under the air conditioned. So yeah, inside it's better.
All right. Yeah, I would imagine so.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Thank you for putting the housekeeping slide up just to get some things out of the way. If you wish to ask a question, the right-hand chat menu, there's a questions area. And the most common question we always get is, are we going to send out the slides? Yes, is the answer to that. They will be made available to all attendees after the fact. And of course, we do welcome feedback on the webinar series. So there's an email address on your screen now, kubesec@aquasec.com. And I think we can get things started after this. Oded, are you ready to take over? The internet is yours.
Oh, that's great. So again, thank you very much for having me, Steve, and thank you for taking this start. So today I'm going to talk about Kubernetes secrets and the great title of the good, the bad, and the ugly things. Well, maybe there are no ugly things, but there are definitely things that we should all be aware of when we're working with Kubernetes secrets. So the agenda for today, I'm going to talk a little bit about the background of why using and why shouldn't we using, and how does Kubernetes secrets work. And later, I'm going to focus on the security concerns and mitigation steps, action items that can be made in order to fix those security concerns. Then I'm going to talk about, what Kubernetes secrets may never solve. And there are things that would be never solved and you should be aware of, we should all be aware of. And those are conceptual things. And we need to take some measurements for that also. And later on, and I hope that we're going to have time, I would really want to focus on just-in-time secrets, which will help you a lot with your entire infrastructure of your secrets. And that's a concept that you should be implementing, at least as we believe. And later on, I'm going to talk about the Q&A. So let's start with a poll, Steve.
All right. Where are applications, passwords,
Steve?
tokens, and keys usually placed? So the poll should be present in front of the attendees only. So pick one and I can see, wow, okay. The responses are flying in. We've already got half the people attending with an answer.
Yeah, but you can see that there are at least half. Okay, maybe I won't tell the results right now, isn't it?
No, keep it a secret.
No.
The suspense must build.
Yeah, you're so right.
But it's good. This is a really clear indicator of where people are in their journey.
Very good. Good answers, people. Good answers. Please continue. Okay, I think we've done. Yeah, Steve, would you take this summary?
Okay, I'll jump in with what we saw. So I guess the most popular response was Kubernetes secrets, 44%. Second being secrets management solution. That sounds good. 3%, of course, there's always some people in the organization who are just thinking, you know what, I don't know. But yeah, application configuration file, application code. Entries across the board, though, that's interesting.
Yeah, well, as you can see, there are 20%, 7 plus 13%, which is 20% that are not currently managing their secrets within either Kubernetes secrets or secrets management solution. Which brings me, and thanks Steve for that, which brings me to the next thing that I want to talk about. So what happens when we're not using Kubernetes secrets? So secrets, as obviously API keys, passwords, and tokens, they are usually hard-coded within the application code, and we see them in configuration files, and obviously those places are bad. And the reason for that is because you can have someone that can access the code repository, right? You need to make sure that no one can access the code repository if you are placing your secrets within the code. So code might have those secrets, and then code repositories and container images will practically have your secrets inside, which is not very recommended. And also, what happens if a password requires rotation, right? A token that needs to be renewed, then obviously you need to search for those secrets within inside the code. And obviously, and we know that a lot of people, many of us, are sometimes afraid. I don't want to break something, so I don't want to change that password. So basically, when you're placing those secrets hard-coded or you're in your configuration files, then they are not dynamic by nature. They are there, and you don't want to touch them. And also, there's the question, and this regards specifically for DevOps and production engineers, where you don't want to have them potentially or preferably, you won't necessarily want that the developer that had the code that coded the program would eventually be familiar with the access codes and the credentials to the production environment. Okay, so this is how you need to have some kind of a mechanism to differentiate, to separate between the code and the credentials themselves. And this is exactly what Kubernetes provides, right? So when should we use Kubernetes secrets? The answer is always, right? That's to begin with, always. And we'll learn for more methodologies about integrating it with secrets management solution. But we should always use Kubernetes secrets, and because it provides two basic things to begin with. One is decoupling your secrets from your application, right? The application can run whenever it wants on whatever wherever it is, and basically it's like it's keeping the hygiene of the business logic, just like you're differentiating it from the front end. So you're differentiating your business logic from your secret. That's one. And second of all, it allows you basically to reuse secrets. Let's say that you have a secret to your database, then the secret to the database can be used by those containers and those pods, while you don't need to specifically mention that within all of those. So you have like a reuse of that secret. That said, it does not necessarily mean that it is by default secured. Okay, and this might be the problem when we call it like Kubernetes secrets. It does not necessarily mean that it's secured. And the reason for that, it's right into how Kubernetes secrets work by default. Okay, so secrets, as you can see, they are stored in etcd, which is part of the Kubernetes management, right here, as you can see below on the screen. So when you are using Kubernetes secrets, so secrets are stored within the etcd database, the key value store, and whenever a pod is being created, then secrets are basically provided to the pod, either within virtual files or within environment variables. And this is where container can actually ask for those, or like fetch those secrets whenever they run. Now, eventually, what you're getting is again the separation between the container data, the business logic, the application itself, and the secret itself. So this is how it works. Now, the first thing that you need to know about the etcd is that etcd does not necessarily, by default, store secrets or any other data in an encrypted manner. So by default, it's a non-encrypted form. Now, base 64, as you might see, the secrets are being stored as base 64 and not encryption, okay, which is an encoding method. It's not encryption. It's important to notice that. So, and people might think that base 64 is encryption, but it's not. It's a way that might not be readable for human, base 64, but it's an encoding method. So in order to have the etcd better secure your secrets, there are 5 measurements that are currently in front of you, and there are some links here that later on you'll be able to use for the ones of you that might not be aware of those. But let's just briefly review those. So it's enabling encryption at rest at the etcd store, to limit access to etcd, to make sure that only administrators can access it, to enable TLS and SSL between the etcd and your pods. Basically, etcd communicates with the pods, right? It provisions them, those secrets to your pods, and not necessarily on the same machine. So SSL or TLS should be configured. Some may say that you should wipe disks after containers are down or the pods are down, so you won't have any pods that are running on top of a machine that had former secrets. So that's another recommendation for all of us. And the YAML and JSON files, please make sure and just pay attention to the fact that they also contain those base 64 secrets. So please don't share or check them out, check them into any kind of repository. One more thing about encryption at rest. When you configure encryption at rest with the etcd, there's later a question of where do you put the encryption key, right? So and that's like another mistake that might people have, and you can see it down here, where they're encrypting the etcd, and then the encryption key is then inside the encryption config, which is again somewhere a place that is not secured. So have external key store provider, external key store KMS that you can use, or secret management solutions that support that. Okay, so now after we've done that, unfortunately, the secrets are still exposed. They might be encrypted at rest, but they are readable within the containers in the pods. That's for a fact. So you've done some measurement to secure the Kubernetes secrets, and still you may find that they are decrypted within the pod itself. Now here you have three options. Some of them may combine, but the first option is basically to follow a best practice by Kubernetes that are saying, okay, have one container per pod. So when you're having one container per pod, it doesn't really matter that within the pod, all of the containers are being able to see the environment variables and the secrets, right? Because you have only one container. So that's one option. You don't necessarily need to follow that, but if you do, that's great. The second option would be to consider a container security solution that supports container isolation, which means that only the container would be able to see their secrets, and only that container would be able to see their own secrets, because by nature, by default, Kubernetes Secrets again exposes all secrets within a pod to each one of those containers. The third option is to consider using secrets management solution that supports container isolation, and that's again another option for you. So either gathering it from each of one options, just make sure that the secrets management solution that you choose actually support that container isolation feature. Now, if we're not done yet, for the ones of you that still are interested with further security, then there are two more measurements that can be done. One, and it all resides on the fact that you have admins, the Kubernetes admins. I guess that most of the ones that are currently in this talk, the Kubernetes admins have access to those decrypted secrets, because basically they can access each pod. They can they can pull out, the environment variables. They can see the virtual files. So in order to provide higher security, there are two measurements that can be done. One is to enforce multi-factor authentication to kubectl, and this basically would basically make you make the security guys, the security architects, to feel more comfortable with the fact that the administrator that actually logged into the kubectl was actually the one that said they are. So no way to somehow steal the authentication or the authenticity of the administrator. And the number two is to consider auditing of the kubectl commands. I'm sure that most of you won't like it, but in terms of organizational perspective, in terms of the security operations center, then this can be actually a good measurement for security officers or security architects to say, okay, we're fine, it's okay, but let's somehow audit the kubectl commands. And there are elegant ways to do so. For the ones that are interested with, we don't have time right now, but just ping me, email me, and we can discuss that later. Now, this is where we are bringing to the place where Kubernetes secrets stop. And this is where we need to all remember that there are things that are outside of Kubernetes secrets control. And this is where applications tend to expose secrets that they have via audit logs or monitoring systems. And this is by nature, this is very natural. We all do that while we develop applications. We need that sometimes, right? If a certain session flies, something happens, then we need to bring all of those credentials outside for later debug. But the actual answer is that there is a way to mitigate that. There is a way to bypass that problem and to change the way that we're working with credentials to make sure that those problems won't happen and audit logs will not contain any passwords or credentials from any type. It is called just-in-time secret or on-demand secret, and I'll talk about that in 2 more slides. Now, the second problem that Kubernetes Secrets obviously won't solve is that, okay, so we have the Kubernetes Secrets, we have the secrets that we wanted to protect, and we have the etcd encrypted, or we have implemented any container security solution and secrets management solution, but eventually the Kubernetes Secrets does not control the other platforms that we're using within our DevOps platform, like the CI/CD and the configuration management tools, as you can see in front of you. Those actually have those secrets, right? So the environment is big and you have lots of scripts outside, so it won't solve that, obviously. So before I go ahead, let's go for the poll number 2. Steve, please, if you can operate that.
All right, here's the second poll question that should be showing up. Are you already using a secrets management solution integrated with Kubernetes Secrets? So please choose one of the following. Wow, they're quick out of the mark. Now, there were a few questions, actually, I would say even a bit of fan feedback, let's call it, in our question section.
Yeah.
Thanks for contributing, Chandra and George.
Those are very, very interesting results, I think.
Let's see what we're getting. Yeah. They're being honest, you can tell. Yeah, they're being honest, and that's great, by the way. Thank you all for being that honest. So I think that can we close? I think we're done, isn't it? Well, we're only at 67%. We got to 75
oh,
last time.
You're right.
So
you're right. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm anxious actually while people are answering. And I'm anxious to talk about those just-in-time secrets and to actually have some recommendations about that, and maybe even to answer people's questions, which I see that we have, which is great.
It's interesting. One of the questions that came in from George was maybe it's a suggestion for a further presentation, was more about wondering how many people understand the difference between using Kubernetes Secrets and a secrets management solution. There could be some out there who consider what Kubernetes offers to be a secrets management solution.
Okay, that's a very good question. And you know what? Maybe while we're answering, I'll go back to here, and then I'll explain everyone, for the ones that are not familiar with. I think that most of the platforms that you see here also, they are having their own solution to keep and protect secrets, just like Kubernetes Secrets have their own. So Chef have their own solution, Jenkins have their own Jenkins Secrets or Jenkins Vault, CircleCI have their own, and Ansible, obviously. And again, this is something that is very common. Now, what happens is that you're having like islands of those secrets repositories, where you're having your Kubernetes secrets, and then Jenkins secrets and Ansible secrets, and all of those and all of those solutions, basically they are sharing in most cases a common secrets, like the same passwords or the same credentials to the database. You might find it on several places. So when we speak about secrets management solution, this is where we're talking about let's say like a secrets manager of managers, the management system where it's being able to synchronize and provision those secrets to each one of those platforms. And this is the fact, the secrets management solution. So it's not a specific platform solution, rather than on top of all of those platforms. Yeah.
Okay, and here's let's check out the results from the last poll. We'll put those up on the screen for you to see.
Okay, so I think that yeah, we can now see that it's third, which is yeah. So 12% don't know, which is cool, but 30% so are using secret management, but not really yet integrated. We have 30% that have integrated that, which is great. So they can obviously they can have a good understanding from the just-in-time that I'm about to talk. And some 30% are not using secrets management at all, which is great, guys. So let's let's have a discussion. This is very much interesting and important. Okay, so I'll proceed from here. Let's talk about just-in-time access or ephemeral secrets. And the reason for us to talk about it is how can we totally eliminate, or at least almost eliminate, the risk of compromising secrets? Because as you see, and you can later see again on the slideshows that I've presented, is that although we're taking measurements, still we have problems with secrets. They are sprawled away the environments, and those secrets need to be managed somehow. And eventually, there are many ways that they are being compromised. Now, the way to mitigate that, the way to almost completely eliminate the risk of compromising secrets, is basically to take the approach of just-in-time or on-demand access. What does it mean? It means that imagine for an application to access the database, usually it uses a static secret. It uses a secret, a credential that is ready-made for them. The database is already configured with that user, and then the application is providing a username and password, and everything's okay. Now imagine a situation where we can have the database not to have credentials whatsoever at all on a given time, okay? 0 identities can access the database. And the application, whenever it requires an access to that database, it will ask the secret management solution to provide a just-in-time access to the database. Now, the secret management system, what it will do, it will automatically create an on-demand credentials, a username and password specifically for that application and for that usage only. So after the usage of that application was made using that ephemeral temporary credential, then that credential would be expired. It will be short-lived. So again, we will go back to where we've started, where the database is completely clean and clear from credentials. This is basically like another good approach or another good implementation, or maybe one of the most successful ways to implement the least privileges approach, where you can get to the point where you get to the place where your entire production environment, not just Kubernetes, but your entire production environment can basically be cleaned out of permissions, either for machines and for administrators also. No one would have access, no one would have static credentials, but only when they ask for it. And whenever they asking for it, they won't necessarily even see the secret in their eyes. So they might be even authenticated using Okta or whatever other identity providers that they are using, and the approach would be seamlessly into the final destination, either a Linux server or database, SQL, whatever. So the same goes for humans and also for machines. Machines should not see their permanent secret, and humans should not see their permanent secret. And there is a way to do that. The way to expand that, by the way, is also by looking at, there are some bank accounts that allow you to authenticate via one-time password, right? So you're saying, hey, this is me, and then the one-time password is being sent to your mobile device if it's a multi-factor authentication. So it's quite similar to that, but the approach here is not just for humans, rather than having it both for machines. So highly suggested and highly recommended. In that way, this is where I'll recommend for 3 major things that, as we believe that they should look at when you are choosing a secret management tool. One, obviously, is the unified secret store, when it can plug into your entire platforms, your entire DevOps and cloud workloads. Basically, not just for Kubernetes, obviously, but all of the other platforms that we have mentioned, like Ansible and CircleCI and Chef and Puppet and Jenkins and all of those. The second would be just-in-time secrets. This is the ability that I just mentioned, is extremely important, both for humans and for machines. You can really get to a great hygiene of permissions and credentials and also for certificates, by the way, using short-lived certificates to access all kind of resources. And the third thing would be, the recommendation would be to choose a solution that would seamlessly scale to any one of your environments and might even not require you to handle all the replication stuff in your hands, right? Rather than just having it seamlessly scale to many other environments that you are using and in the future that you are about to use. That's it for now. I think that's a good time for Q&A. Steve, please take us through.
Yeah, there's a few questions out there, and a particularly good one that just came in asking about performance overheads associated with just-in-time secrets. Actually, two people asked the same question.
Yeah, that's a very good question. So at least from our experience, think of it as the following. So first of all, everything can be solved in terms of good architecture. But let's think about the use case itself. Whenever a container is going up, how much time does it take? It can take might take few seconds, or take some. If it's a super fast container, it could take something like hundreds of milliseconds. Now, the time that will take to create a new credential to whatever resource won't take more than tens of milliseconds. So there is no problem of providing a newly created credential. That's one. Second, there are ways to pre-create temporary credentials, maybe not exactly when the container is up, but there are ways where you can predict the way that you can predict the time where containers will go up. So with hooking to the system that are initiating those secrets, you can pre-fetch those just-in-time credentials. I hope I answered this question. If you still have more questions, please further ask, and also feel free to ask me afterwards. Steve?
So there's a few questions about open source here, and so maybe I'll just leave that a little bit more open than some of the specific versions and ask if there's ways to get started with secrets management challenges, let's just say. Let's be generic about it, using open source solutions, because sometimes that can help to get budget, etc.
Yeah, well, there are plenty of all kind of tools of secrets management. Some of them are open source, some of them are free to begin with. So there are solutions for that. And yes, you can start by playing with those. But keep in mind that whenever you're playing with the first open source solution that or the one that you choose, ask yourself how easily it will eventually scale with my entire workload, and then with the next region that I'm about to use, and so on and so forth. And I'm not speaking about support issues necessarily, although it is important. I'm speaking about the easiness of working with your secrets, going towards to your entire workloads and to multiple regions. So yes, there are tools. There are also some free tools that to begin with, that not necessarily open source, but they are available for you to use to start and playing with it. But again, ask yourself, how may I scale in the future, and does it fit my needs, not just the current ones? Yeah, Steve?
Yeah, sure. There's a good question from Bram here. How is it possible, or how could you use just-in-time secrets for, let's say, for example, a PaaS database service which has been created with a specific user and password? Is that possible?
To use a just-in-time secret for a database that was created with
a specific user and password.
Okay, so there are lots of ways. Okay, there are lots of answer for that, but let's take the most the most direct approach. So first, when there's a secret management system that creates those credentials on the fly, like the on-demand and just-in-time, yes, in sometimes it depends on the configuration, it will require the initial secret, the initial permission, in order to create the temporary users, right? And that's like the secret zero problem. But there are ways where the authentication to the database, even the admin one, would use not a predefined credential within the database, rather than looking at external identity provider. We used to see that a long time ago, with Microsoft SQL that can have users from Active Directory and not necessarily the native root. If that makes sense, if that example makes sense. But there are ways in some databases to basically trust an external identity provider, and then you don't necessarily need that secret zero in order to create the further credentials, the just-in-time credentials. Yeah. Steve?
Yeah, excellent. Okay, so I guess there's a lot of questions, by the way. I don't know if you know that.
That's great. We have time.
Yeah, great. So is a secrets management solution intended to be accessed directly via an API, or is it designed more about using the Kubernetes, integrating with Kubernetes secrets and using that integration?
Beautiful answer. So when we talk about secrets management solution should be both API driven plugins, okay, that basically wrap those APIs, but plugins that are ready-made to use within any platform, and also what we call human readable, so that human can also work with them. And that's basically it. So it's not just about having secrets management work with APIs, with RESTful API that you can have your own Python SDK to approach that secrets management solution. You also need the plugins that are already made, and also ask yourself, why, if I already have that secret store, why shouldn't I also use the most precious API keys to my AWS environment or whatever environment that you're using? Why shouldn't I use that also, and maybe having a very easy user interface for me to use, I don't know, some browser add-on or whatever you'd like to use, or even a Slack plugin that you can fetch secrets from your Slack, just to have it very easy and for you also to use. So it's not just about API driven and plugins enabled, and when I'm saying plugins, it's not necessarily just, again, Kubernetes, it's also platforms all around the DevOps horizon. So yeah, all of the above.
Okay, and I think you just started to allude to this because there's several questions around, because we focused on Kubernetes secrets within this talk, but having a secrets management solution that can address a seamless integration within the pipeline as well, because secrets management extends far beyond just API calls and storage. It extends into supply chain provenance as well.
Exactly. It is well integrated. The whole purpose of it is to integrate to the whole software development lifecycle. And by the way, the best secret management solutions have also provide more tools in that chain, also to be able to renew and revocate certificates, right? Certificate automation, because you also need that whenever you need to renew them and so on. There's also some needs around signing containers and signing codes. So a good secret management solution will also provide the ability to fully protect RSA keys and have plugins to internally to your CI/CD process in order to also sign those credentials, those containers and images, and also for developers to be able to encrypt without the hassle of encryption keys. And that's basically on the application level where, and this is something that we haven't discussed, but if you're not using Kubernetes secrets, then you can use something else, which is using an SDK of secrets management, and then to couple it with your application. And this is where you're gonna get secret on the application level, and the infrastructure will never see those secrets. Now, if you want to have it even into a more higher sophistication level, you can also have that SDK to provide the application itself to provide it just-in-time secret, okay? So the application would use on the container, on the process level, it will use a just-in-time secret that was initially created specifically for that process. Yeah. So that's a comprehensive solution for all of those needs, and not just specifically for the ones that you've mentioned, Steve.
Okay, yeah. I'm going to aggregate a few questions just to make sure we get through as many as possible. So one of the questions was about secrets management solutions handling the rotation of secrets, and another one about certain compliance directives that a secrets management solution might help with, because there is certain regulations that insist that you have a certain rotation of secrets. And is that a solution that can help with that?
Yeah. So regarding whether secrets management have the ability to rotate secrets, and the answer is yes. Of course, the ones that you choose, the solution that you choose, and you should be interested with that capability. By the way, working with just-in-time credentials basically eliminate the need to rotate secrets. And maybe I'll emphasize that. If you're having an on-demand credential that is created for, whenever a container goes up, then it asks for an on-demand secret, and the container goes down, then that secret basically eliminated, revoked, then there is no need to rotate the password, because it's a new user. Every time that you're using, it's a new credentials to your resource, whatever it's an SQL or AWS service that you're using, and you need a new token each time. So with that sense, just in time, eliminate the need for password rotation. Think about that. Now, in terms of support, again, yes, there are secret management tools that support those rotation. And number 3 was around the compliance and regulations. So I'll tell you what, instead of naming them here, I will add it to the presentation that I will about to share with you. But obviously, SOC is asking about it. GDPR is asking for those kind of things. There are ISO things that are asking for it. Specific security regulations of others for specific sectors are asking for rotations and working with centralized management of privileged credentials. So let me do the following. I'll add a slideshow that will help you to actually have one by one those regulations and compliance that actually asking those secret management solutions, or that secret management basically helping you to be applied to those certifications and regulations. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. And it's worth noting there are a few people who I think joined the call after we had our housekeeping slide. So the presentation will be distributed to everybody who's online. So don't have to worry about that. You will get the slides. And there's a question here, a very I guess a holistic question about the topology of a secrets management tool deployment. Is it something that would be a full company deployment or scoped, say, for example, dev, test, and prod? How does that work?
Well, that's a good question. That's a very good question. So to begin with, secrets management solutions, some may tend to think that secrets management, basically it's for DevOps. So, let's go this. Basically it's for DevOps. So to start with, it's for DevOps, and then what happens is that your entire software development is built not just by DevOps, just by having those tool sets, but the developers at the beginning, they also, as humans, they are using passwords, and they need access. They need just-in-time access to any type of resources. So you're adding them, and that's maybe another position. Then you also need in the secrets management, you need an audit, a full audit and insights about who's using what secrets and what happened and who's accessed what kind of encryption key and so on. So you have another actor there, which is the security architect. And also for signature, you're having them. And then you're finding out that basically the whole solution is also being able to provide to your entire IT department the whole password management thing. So the answer is this. Secret management is a field where it encapsulates and relates and resonates to think about the following. It gathers the privileged access management field. It gathers the SSH keys management field, the certificate management field, and also the key management field, and also obviously the static secrets, the credentials protecting, the password management. So all of those all together, you'll find that are related to a secrets management. It's kind of redefining the use of all of those use cases, and it becomes sometimes like a roof term, a new field where it grabs the most special and the most important capabilities out of those systems, and it gathers it to a one unified platform. I hope I answered that question well. If not, Steve, please ask for clarifications.
No, it was fine. We've only I've just been told we have time for one more question, and one of the questions that just came in from Glenn was, are there policies within secrets management tools associated with just-in-time passwords? And Open Policy Agent was used as an example, whether there's support for things like that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so let me answer it much broadly for policies, and later on we can take it offline for further questions, if that's fine. So regarding policies, the way that a just-in-time credential is being created is actually a way that you, as a user of the secret management solution, would set. And this is something that a good solution would allow you to change very easily. So basically, you will have the ability to say that temporary credential would be created as such with that specific, like a template policy, or sometimes even a SQL statement that you want the temporary credentials to be created by, like a create user identified by, and the roles that will be associated to it. Okay. So yes, you must have the total the total ability, or the complete ability, to control the way that an on-demand temporary just-in-time credential is being created.
Okay, yeah. And that is all the time that we've got left. We're just about to have the webinar shut off on us. And I'd like to say thank you again, Oded. You had
well, thank you very much.
A lot of questions.
Yeah.
Well, we can get back to the people whose questions we didn't answer. I'll just for those of you who didn't get to your question, we can answer them on the text after the fact.
Yeah, of course. We can answer that at the text. We can go back, and please, and thank you, Steve, for having this. Thank you, Aqua, for hosting us and having this KubeSec. I wish we had it in Amsterdam, but some things, we've had this happening, but the webinar is a good thing. So for you guys, if you want to have further questions, this is my email on screen. Again, the slideshow, the slide deck will be shared. Please feel free to ask any further questions, general ones, specific ones. I'm here to help, and thank you very much for having this.
Oh, okay, that sounds like it is a wrap. We have 1 minute left. And okay, if you're looking for more content online, you can find Aqua's podcast KubeSec, the series presented by none other than myself, Steve Jaguar. We've had recent guests like Liz Rice, Jean Kim, Kelsey Hightower, and the list goes on. So you can check that out at the URL on the screen. And to introduce our next in this series for the KubeSec Enterprise Online webinar series, we will be having Kristen Klein talking about hardware security modules, moderated by Liz Rice. So thank you all for joining, and we'll catch you next time.